Paragons are some of the strongest and most expensive towers in BTD6, with the ability to enhance their power even further through sacrifices. Even the weakest Paragons are extremely powerful, and at their maximum degree of 100, they're by far the strongest towers in the game. So how long can you survive with every single degree 100 Paragon in BTD6? Now at first, this seems like a pretty simple test to pull off. After all, there's only 9 Paragons as of update 46. But the problem is that the only way to get a degree 100 Paragon in single player is Geraldo, and at the absolute earliest you would get all 9 Paragons close to round 300 with the restock rate of the totems. So I decided to cheat just a little bit and add a modded Paragon totem that instantly boosts a Paragon to degree 100. But I decided to make it 10 times more expensive than normal, just to be kind of fair. Anyway, with that being said, let's jump right into the run because this is gonna be insane. First off, I had to decide what hero to go with for this run, and thankfully since I didn't strictly have to use Geraldo anymore thanks to the OP totems, I was able to use Ben, which was nice. Because let's be real, even though I won't have to spend nearly as much now as I would have had to otherwise, I'm still gonna have to do a ton of farming. And also, for those who are gonna say my farming's bad, because honestly it is, feel free to roast me in the comments, I promise I can take it. Anyway, as I started playing this challenge, the main question was this: which Paragon should I get first? I know that seems like a pretty simple question, but there's like 8 good Paragons, plus the TAC Paragons, so it's a pretty tricky choice. But after thinking about it for about 30 seconds, I decided to go with the Boat Paragon because it's the only one that actually makes money. I just knew that I'd have to be careful with the placement of the boats because even after getting this Paragon, I would have to make room in the water for 3 subs for the sub Paragon. That's just the one disadvantage of logs, there's just not enough water on it. Anyway, the early game was pretty easy and boring as it was supposed to be, but I ended up getting the first Paragon on round 83. And then after that, I decided to go for the sub Paragon just to make sure it would be able to fit, and then I went for the engineer Paragon because now that I think about it, I actually don't know why I went for this one next. Although I do have to admit, I did recently find out that the Engineer Paragon was better than I originally expected. The 4 NG Paragon fans can rest easy now, alright? Anyway, I quickly went through with buying the rest of the Paragons with my surprisingly effective but inefficient as hell farming technique, and on round 172, I ended up buying the Goliath Doom ship and getting all 9 Paragons. And I mean, I don't care if you like the Paragons or not, all 9 of them together like this look really cool. Now, just to put it into perspective just how strong these Paragons are, even a weak Paragon can get damn near round 200 at higher degrees, and all 9 of them here at absolute max degree. This is going to be crazy. Now, while I'm going through this, I'd like to point out that there are a few ways the Paragons buff each other, which makes this combo even more deadly. Because, I mean, some of these Paragon combos are absolutely insane. The Navark buffs the Goliath Doomship to attack faster, the Glaive Dominus buffs the Apex Plasma Master, and the Tac Shooter Paragon. And then we have the Sub Paragon, which reduces the cooldowns of every single Paragon ability except its own, which just so happens to be the longest cooldown in the entire game, but that's besides the point. Anyway, what round do you think these Paragons are going to get to, and which Paragon do you think will end up with the most pops? Make sure to let me know in the comments. Also, you may have noticed that there's a sniper here. Why? Because I'm trying to drop a very obvious hint to Nijikiwi about what Paragon I want next. Anyway, back to the gameplay. We've made it to round 200, and the bad didn't even make it past the first bend. That's insane. To put it into perspective, the top layer of a round 100 bad has 28,000 health, but the round 200 fortified bad's top layer has 960,000 health. These Paragons just did 1,000,000 damage in about 3 seconds. I'm really starting to wonder what else I'm going to have to talk about here. It's pretty much just going to be going through the free play effects, I think, because I don't script these things at all, alright? Anyway, we're up to round 220, and there is exactly 0 struggles from these Paragons whatsoever. I'm guessing they're going to get to at least round 300, maybe 400, I don't know. Anyway, I feel like when it comes to this run, some of the Paragons are going to be way more useful than others. So I figured I'd kind of just go through them and rank them based on how useful I think they'd be throughout this run. Near the bottom of the list, we have the Dart and Boomerang Paragons because even though the Boomerang Paragon does buff the other primary Paragons, they just won't add that much late game, and the Boomerang Paragon's stalling ability doesn't work on bads. A little higher up, we have the Engineer and Submarine Paragons because the Engineer Paragon doesn't really add much except for maybe some clutches with selling the sentries, and the Sub Paragon just has the reduced cooldowns and it doesn't even reduce them that much, so it won't be that useful. And then I think it's safe to say that Wizard and Ace Paragon are next just because pure DPS towers, and then as the absolute goats of late game, we have Navark and Ascended Shadow. I mean, that seems pretty fair, right? So for now, I'm just chilling with the Paragons. I'm not doing any micro or anything because at this point, I feel like that's kind of unnecessary. The bads aren't getting far at all. I've thought about maybe doing a run where I go as far as I can without using a single ability with them and then I start using the abilities, but considering I'm not in Challenge Editor and I have to actually use 500 monkey money for the continue, I decided not to do that. Technically, I could have done this run in Challenge Editor, but that wouldn't have really worked that well because Challenge Editor only goes to round 300, and if online Paragons somehow don't get past round 300, I'm honestly going to be disappointed. Alright, so it's round 260 now, and I'm actually running into a bit of an unexpected problem. I have to turn off the faster forward mod because my computer is lagging like crazy. I just have to put it back to regular fast forward because this is getting insane. I guess when you have 9 towers this powerful, the game just doesn't like it. And if I recall correctly, there were a few people complaining that free play had gotten laggier a couple updates ago, and the fact that I have like 3 mods installed probably doesn't help. It's not even my computer either. I have a crazy PC, so I don't know what the problem is. Anyway, speaking of which, if this video gets 100 likes, I'm gonna reveal my entire PC setup, so make sure to leave a like and don't forget to subscribe. We've made it all the way to round 300 and the bads are getting kind of far now, but I still haven't had to use a single ability. Although the way this game is lagging, I'm starting to think my PC might die before the defense does. We'll see. Anyway, we beat round 300 and arguably got one of the worst tier 4 instas. Even the cheaper ones have more use. Who the heck uses top path bomb shooter? I've never seen top path bomb shooter used in an actual run. Okay, I take that back. I've seen the tier 5 used a few times, but never the tier 3 or 4. But just to show what these Paragons are up against, a round 300 bad has 91 times health and 7 times speed, meaning a fortified bad has 3.6 million health and moves as fast as around 40 Moab. That also means that DDTs are basically hypersonic, but there's enough stalling towers that isn't really an issue. After this, the run got a lot more interesting as I pretty much had to use my abilities every single round just to stay alive past about round 320. The most unfortunate thing is that the Navarch of the Seas ability is capped to 2 uses per round, which is probably fairly well balanced considering how quick the ability cooldown is at degree 100, but it's still annoying. Thankfully, that still meant you could take down 2 fortified bads per round for free, but every round is basically spamming them at this point. And after a very long and laggy mess of trying to keep on top of 9 different abilities, I finally started getting worried about round 340 as I saw just how far the fortified bads were getting. And unfortunately, the factor that made this run even worse was the sheer amount of lag. I've sped up the footage a bit, but every round was taking way over a minute at this point. Shout out to the computers that can handle round 600 plus, because mine could never. After a while, I made it past round 350, but then something interesting happened just a couple rounds later. On round 352, with all of my abilities already used, I had to watch as a fortified bad popped right at the exit, leaking a fortified DDT and ending the run. I'm honestly a little disappointed considering how much these towers would have cost without the Paragon mod. This was well over $15 million worth of towers. Although it is still very impressive considering every single fortified bad had 6.7 million health and there was multiple of them per round. But the bigger surprise in the final round was the pop count of each tower. Obviously the Navarch had the most, but surprisingly in second place was the Ascended Shadow. Considering the DPS isn't that high compared to the Doom ship, which placed third, I can assume that most of the pops came from the fact that it took 25% off the health of every single fortified bad that came in. And of course the other Paragons fell in line right about where I expected. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more bloons tests and other content. And make sure to leave in the comments what you want me to do next because I read every single comment I get. Thank you so much for watching, keep popping those bloons, and I'll see you next time.